You are now tuned in to the PPC podcast. Subscribe now for more exclusive content.
Just in hindsight, looking at that, are there any experiences you can share within your work during that time over the last 3 years or so?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of reasons for that. We take COVID first and foremost. Now, I was very reluctant to get involved in anything when furlough was a thing, grants, bounce back loans, etc., etc. The government had to basically find a mega pot of money to fund everything to do with COVID, grants, supporting, and whatever your politics is on that. Yes, they got things wrong. They got some things right. Some people needed that, but they needed to do something.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm not going to say the not going to get into politics of whether that was right or wrong. However, the money was put out there. Money was going to need to get paid back. All right. And the problem is what it did, it was almost like printing money. You just pumped a load of money into the economy. So a lot of people now who benefited off of that, and let's be honest, a lot of people didn't need that money as much as they said it. There were some people that absolutely needed that money. Of course they did. But there was a lot of people that applied for grants and got bailouts and bounce back loans that they really didn't need. So what they did is now there's a load of people out there that are not doing anything and thinking about, how can I spend my money? Yeah. So all of a sudden, everything eases. We've all been sat there, not doing a lot, thinking about what our next move's going to be. Then they go, all right, COVID's done. And everybody's like, right, cool, let's get out there. The government are now thinking, how are we going to make money? We need to launch some schemes to get people buying again. The housing market is very, very central to the whole economy.
100%.
So what it did, it went, do you know what? Stamp duty break. And the UK went bonkers for it.
Yeah.
And we ate it up. And people were paying way over asking price for houses because they were like, I haven't got to pay any stamp duty. In hindsight, a lot of these people were spending 20, 30 grand more than the house was worth to save 10 grand's worth of stamp duty. A lot of that was because there'd been such a stagnation of people not moving that would have naturally moved in 2020, 2021.
Of course, yeah.
That they were naturally going to move anyway.
Yeah.
But what it did is it rose their house price. They were getting a lot more. They were spending a lot more. So now all of a sudden, house prices are worth a lot more. And then you got the other people that found that the houses price were getting out of reach and they were spending a lot of money on their homes to do what they wanted to do to their houses.
Yeah.
Spend. And they dropped the rates down low because they wanted to promote that spending because the government makes their money on the VAT and the goods that we buy. So because they needed that money back because they'd spent so much, and that's what partly caused the spike in inflation. Then obviously the war in Ukraine, and this kind of amplifies the fact that we're no longer an island nation. We are obviously geographically surrounded by water. But back in the 60s, 70s, we farmed our own fields, we supplied our own electrics, we made our own cars, we manufactured anything you needed was made here in Great Britain. So we could be an isolated economy. Didn't matter what was happening in the rest of the world. Now, because goods got really cheap in China and Taiwan and places like that, it was so much cheaper for us, rather than paying English wages, buy our goods from overseas, get our gas from overseas, get all of these other things from overseas, which we were paying peanuts for. War happens in Ukraine. Now all of a sudden, the price has gone right up. And now it starts to make an impact of, well, we need that gas because we need it to fire our stations, our power, our lots of other things. And again, because of COVID, because of gas supply and everything else, petrol, trucks, everything getting here, the cost of the supplies like wood, metal, grain,
jumped.
All goes up. That's all adding to inflation. Because the cost of it, people are spending more to get all of this done. All of these factors combined meant that when Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng decided to come out and say, no, we're going to keep it low. The rest of the world that does buy its goods from us, or that we buy goods from them, thinks, that doesn't look sustainable. How are you going to afford that, if you keep your rates low? So all of a sudden, the rest of the world's thinking, you're almost looking at our credit rating in the UK going, don't look as good as it once did. So they start to think, well, we're going to start pulling our money a bit. We're maybe not going to sell to them as much. We're going to make it a bit more expensive.
I know Brexit had a big effect on that as well. Obviously that happened before COVID, and I think COVID kind of shadowed it a little bit, like just took it over a bit. But yeah, once a lot of workers actually left the country, once Brexit hit, I think that had a big effect on the economy.
Yeah.
And even up until now, because there's still a labour shortage.
Yeah,
So
100%. And I think that, again, showing me age, but I remember when I used to go to bars, restaurants and places, and it was filled with 17, 18, 19-year-olds from the UK. And then all of a sudden we got the influx from Eastern Europe, and they were beginning to, you'd find them doing a lot of the jobs
Yep.
and building and labouring and things like that.
Yep.
I would even say that there was a mindset that these were deemed to be more menial jobs,
yeah,
but they were prepared to work hard and do them. There was some rogues within that, but there was also a lot of quality within that.
100%.
And then a lot of the people were here in the UK didn't like it because it's like, they're stealing our jobs. Well, no, they're doing the jobs that we're not prepared to do.
Yeah.
And then you could put it akin to the Windrush generation when they came along to support the economy and do that.
Yeah.
But I won't go down that.
Yeah. Another time.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where Brexit, again, we've got to renegotiate deals. COVID came at a really bad time. I mean, not that anybody could have predicted it, but on top of Brexit, it just compounded it, and the labour shortage and everything else. So yeah, and I think we found that across the board that it's taking longer to get stuff. We book things in, builders, labourers, supplies. It costs more, and it takes longer. And the more delay that there is in the system, the more expensive everything becomes. So if you've got a builder on site and he's waiting on things, he's still going to be charging for the time it's taken him to do stuff. So we've been so used to, since 2008 till now, paying 0.25% or so, to now it's back to pre-2008 rates, where it typically used to be. But because we've got a whole generation that's been so used to having rates really low, it's a switch in mindset and having to get readjusted to this.